What's up? Matt from Urchfab here. In today's video, getting back on with the Mini. I've had a whole load of work done to the cylinder head. Checked a lot of things on the bottom end as well. Had loads of comments on the last video, so I'll run through some of that stuff. So just quick run through about this engine if you don't know the whole story of it. I bought an ex-Miglia engine, which was actually somebody's spare engine, which had a rebuilt bottom end and a gearbox, essentially almost a complete engine, but all in bits. I sent that up to Specialist Components and they built it for me. It's got new pistons in it, new steel rods in it, a load of Specialist Components, bits and bobs, ECU, and then a load of MED parts as well. And it was essentially just trying to build the best engine out of what I had there without spending an absolute fortune. It still did cost an absolute fortune, but this stuff is just really expensive. I had a few people asking who did the cylinder head. It's not a Specialist Component cylinder head. Their heads are CNC ported, so everything would be, you know, perfect and symmetrical. This was the opposite. Everything in the porting was very unsymmetrical. I don't know who did this. It was obviously done a very long time ago. I have attempted to improve on it. Whether I have improved on it or not, hard to say without having it flow tested before and after, which I haven't done. All I've done is try to make everything symmetrical and do a few bits in a few areas that the David Vizard book recommended to do. So I ordered up a few porting tools and just had a go at trying to even everything out. There was one particular area that David Vizard references in the book a lot, which I focused on mainly because he talks so much about how important that area is. I had a few people sort of warning me not to, just in case I broke through the casting into the waterways. But I did manage to get the shaping of that area how the book says it should be. And just generally even everything out. The actual bowl below the valve on the inlets, two of them were very different shapes, so I was able to sort of even all that out as well, just using some little cardboard templates to check everything was similar. Left all the ports quite a rough finish. What you can see there is like still a stone finish on some bits of it, so I smoothed it all out to an 80 grit and just left it at that. I did a little bit of work on the chambers, and this is where I made a bit of a cock up and ended up gouging into a few of the valve seats. So when the head was at the machine shop, it had all the seats recut, and if you remember in the last video I showed you how it had odd exhaust guides in it. Well, when we took all the guides out to try to replace them, we found out that the exhaust guide hole was bigger than it should be, so the new guides are essentially just falling through. So it had to have a set of custom bronze guides made to fit the head. So it was quite a bit of work for the machine shop. So basically we got all new seats cut, all new guides, and then when I got it back, all the paint had been stripped off where they obviously washed the head with, must be a chemically hot tank thing because it strips all the paint off, so I repainted it. Oh, and they obviously skimmed the head to take the chambers down to 18.3 cc's, which will give this 11.6 to 1 compression. I was aiming for 11.7, but I thought I better give myself a little margin for error. So all the machine work was done by Auto Engineering, which is a local machine shop, really good. It's the same place that did the head on the GTS Mini. When I posted the last video, I had a load of different people reach out and I talked about the dynamic compression ratio, which is something that's explained in the Vizard book. Basically, you've got your static compression ratio, which is essentially the volume of your cylinder and the volume of this chamber and everything else around the piston at the top above the rings, is the ratio that is compressed to when it's at the top. The thing is, there's more to it than that, because you've got your camshaft opening and closing valves. So if you've got a long duration cam where it closes later, you're essentially compressing less volume, and there's calculations to work it out. I couldn't get the details of the camshaft I needed to actually calculate that, but a chap called Jason from JMR Racing contacted me and said that this camshaft requires 11.7 compression at least to be in its window of where it needs to be. So that's why I've gone with that. It is above what the pistons recommend, but I spoke to someone who's running a higher compression than that on these pistons, and they've been reliable, so I'm just going to give it a go. What's the worst that could happen? So another thing people kept mentioning was the cam timing, recommending that I check the cam timing. I've double checked that. It's the reading I got was 100.5. The spec is 101, so I think that's probably as close as it's going to get to that, so that is correct. In other news, I actually bought another engine in bits. I got offered something that sounded like something a bit special. My experience of any motorsport related second-hand bits, usually they're not really much good. So that was the case really with some of this stuff. But it was an interesting engine, and I did end up buying quite a few of the bits. So yeah, this is a 1400cc A series with an offset ground crank, a big valve ported race cylinder head with roller rockers, and some interesting parts. Not sure the spec of the camshaft. It came with a special tuning gearbox, which is the Leyland factory, like rally department sort of spec stuff. So I thought the gearbox was probably worth a few quid, so I thought I'd buy it, sell the gearbox on, and hopefully recoup some of the money that way. And I did sell the gearbox really quick actually, so that might have been potentially worth more than I thought it was. But the block on this has been bored to 1380. One of the spark plugs had been left out and water had got in, so the piston was seized in the bore, and there was quite a deep score at the top of one of the bores, so I think the block is scrap. It's currently at the machine shop, just seeing if there is anything that could be done with it, but they did already say it probably wouldn't be an economical repair. But there's definitely some bits there to do something with. So yeah, I've got quite a few bits knocking around now. I should have enough to sort of build another engine up, and whether it be a race engine or just like a fast road engine or something like that. Right, so let's get this thing back together and fired up. Got a new gasket, a BK 450. I've seen some people put sealer on these. It almost looked like the old one had sealer on it, but it's either that or the coating on the gasket just sticks to the block. So looking at that, you've really got to make sure that gasket is pushed back that way, all the way to as far back as it will go, because if you're forward, you almost got a little overlap there. Quite a lot of movement on that too. Right, so what I'm doing now is checking the valve, the roller rocker geometry. So I've got these little shim packs, 1mm, 2mm and 0.5. I did notice there's some packers underneath these already, and the valve springs have actually been catching on the edge, so I did have to grind the edge off a little bit. So I'll do the same on these. Alright, they're spaced up now. The roller seems to sweep quite nicely from one side of the valve top to the other. The push rods are bang in the centre of the holes, the rocker holes. I think that's about where it should be. So the only other thing I've got to do is put the DTI on it and check that I am getting the correct amount of valve lift. Right, so this has been driving me a bit mad. This centre rocker keeps binding. It's really tight and it's catching. I just adjusted this one with this one down and this one's free. So something's going on. I've slackened everything off, moved it all around, torqued it back down, and it's just done the exact same thing again. Right, I found the issue. The top of this rocker arm here is hitting the washer. That there is pinched up tight. If I back it off, it's now free. So it's as this comes up, it contacts the edge of that washer, pushes the arm that way and binds up this side. Let's try taking those washers out. It's really close, but that is now free with that one fully down, which it wasn't before, so that's obviously good. So if you've got a set of these roller rockers with ARP bolts, make sure you don't use washers. Alright, so that is everything back together, up and running, all seems good, sounds good. One thing though, it was running lean. I had to richen the idle up, which would suggest that it is getting more air. I can't see how increasing the compression would affect that, so that can only mean that the head is flowing more air, and I've changed the idle jet at light throttle. It was lean, so put a bigger jet in, and that seems to be back where it was now. So it's got to go back on the rollers now and just have everything checked, give it a good run, re-torque the head, redo all the valve clearances, and yeah, fingers crossed it makes it a little bit more power. Alright, so nice to get that all back together before Christmas. I hope everyone has a really good Christmas. I will get another video out in between now and the new year. The Urchfab Christmas competitions are ending on the 29th of December, so if you do want to get yourself a ticket to try and win the Mark II Escort, or I've got another one running, just you can win a welder for £1. The current stats, those competitions are, there's currently 227 people entered in on to win the Escort, 360 tickets sold, 215 free tickets given. Not many people entered in on that in comparison to the Mini, which was a bit of a surprise. And then on the welder there's 110 people entered in on that, so yeah, very low odds to win yourself something on either of those. I could do a bit of input on that. I'm not sure whether the Mini just did well because it was a Mini, and you know, there's that many more people watching that are interested in Minis and just more people want to try and win a Mini, or whether it was just because the Mini was the first car I'd raffled off and it was something new and it's just like that new thing, so there's a bit more buzz around it and you kind of have a go at it once and then lose interest. I'm just trying to figure out, you know, whether it's the right way to be going and what to do next, I suppose. So yeah, any input on that would be appreciated. Thanks again for sticking around for another year, and hopefully next year we'll get a lot more track stuff going on. I haven't managed to do much at all this year for a few different reasons, but yeah, next year will be the year. Say that every year, don't we? 2026 is the year. I mean it this time though. Say that every year as well. That's going to be it for this one. Just watching. See you on the next one.